If you're scrolling right now, stop and listen closely. You probably know what it feels like to have someone you trust betray you. Or maybe you've been in a tough spot without a way forward. Today, we're going to hear the story of someone who walked this road and triumphed in ways no one expected. This is the story of Joseph, a man who rose from betrayal to forgiveness like no other. This story isn't just powerful, it's life-changing. Let's dive in. The story of Joseph begins in the land of Canaan, where he and his 11 brothers lived with their father, Jacob. Joseph was different from the start. He had an extraordinary gift. He could interpret dreams. But there was more. Jacob, their father, loved Joseph the most. He didn't even try to hide it. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a magnificent coat, a coat bursting with brilliant colors that commanded attention. It was a symbol of his love and favor toward Joseph. But with favoritism came envy. Joseph's brothers, already bitter toward him, grew even angrier when Joseph shared one particular dream. He told them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." Can you imagine how this made his brothers feel? The brothers, furious, said, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" Even Jacob, hearing of another dream where the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed down to Joseph, rebuked him, but secretly wondered if there was truth behind these dreams. The tension reached a boiling point. One day, while Joseph was sent to check on his brothers as they worked in the pastures, they decided they had enough. "Here comes that dreamer," they said, plotting to kill him. But Reuben, the eldest brother, intervened. "Let's not take his life," he urged. "Throw him into this cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben planned to rescue Joseph later, but before he could act, the brothers sold Joseph to a caravan of Ishmaelite traders who were headed to Egypt. Can you picture Joseph, bound and weeping, looking back at his brothers who betrayed him for silver? In Egypt, Joseph was sold to a man named Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. Despite the betrayal and strange new surroundings, Joseph's character stood strong. He worked with honesty and excellence, quickly earning the trust of Potiphar, who made him overseer of his entire household. But trouble found him again when Potiphar's wife, filled with deceit, falsely accused Joseph of wrongdoing. Without a trial, Joseph was cast into prison. Think about it. Betrayed by his family, sold into slavery, and now wrongly imprisoned. It seemed like his life was a series of empty chapters, but Joseph held on to his faith. And God was with him. Even in the darkness of the prison, Joseph remained committed to serving those around him. He soon gained the favor of the warden, running the daily operations of the prison. During his time there, he met Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, who each had troubling dreams. With God's wisdom, Joseph interpreted their dreams. The baker would face death, while the cupbearer would be restored to his position. Joseph's interpretations were accurate, but after being freed, the cupbearer forgot all about Joseph. 2 more years of waiting came for Joseph. One day, Pharaoh himself had 2 disturbing dreams. In one, 7 healthy cows were devoured by 7 scrawny cows. In the second, 7 full heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin ones. Troubled and desperate, Pharaoh called for interpretations, but none in his court could help. Then the cupbearer remembered Joseph. Quickly, Joseph was brought from the prison. Standing before the ruler of Egypt, Joseph humbly said, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." And he did. Joseph explained that the dreams foretold 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. He advised Pharaoh to store surplus grain during the abundance to prepare for the hard years to come. Pharaoh was so impressed by Joseph's wisdom and insight that he appointed him second in command over all of Egypt. From prisoner to prime minister, Joseph's life had taken a turn that no one could have expected. The famine eventually struck not just Egypt, but also Canaan, the land of Joseph's family. Jacob, Joseph's father, sent his sons to buy grain in Egypt. They never imagined the person in charge would be their very own brother, the one they betrayed and sold years ago. Joseph recognized them instantly, though they did not recognize him. He faced a choice: confront them with bitterness, or test their hearts to see if they had changed. Joseph devised a plan, testing their integrity by observing their behavior. He planted silver in Benjamin's bag, Jacob's youngest son, to see how they would respond. When Benjamin was accused of theft, Judah, one of the brothers, offered to take Benjamin's place as an act of love and responsibility. This was the moment Joseph saw their hearts had truly changed. Overcome with emotion, Joseph revealed his identity. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" he wept. The brothers were stunned and terrified, knowing the wrong they had done. But Joseph spoke the words that turned their fear into awe. "Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." What a powerful statement of forgiveness and faith. Joseph invited his entire family to Egypt, providing them with comfort and care. Jacob and his sons were reunited, and the family settled in Goshen, a land of plenty even in the midst of a famine. Joseph had forgiven the unforgivable, and his actions transformed generations to come. So, what can we take away from Joseph's extraordinary story? Think about this. God had a plan for Joseph all along. Every betrayal, every trial, every moment of waiting led him closer to his purpose. Sometimes, life doesn't make sense in the moment, but the pieces fit together in retrospect. Joseph teaches us that forgiveness is more powerful than revenge, and God's plans are greater than our understanding. Do you have a dream? Are you going through a season of difficulty? Remember Joseph's story. It's not the end until the good God promised comes to pass. Trust in Him, hold on to your faith, and keep walking forward. What someone may intend for harm, God can transform for your good and for the good of others. Comment below what inspired you most about this story. #Bible, #Jesus, God, #Jews, #Christian, Christianity, faith.